Hello everyone, and welcome to Support Someone Saturday. I'm so excited to be here today with Bruce Strom from Administer Justice. Bruce is a lawyer, a pastor, an author, a speaker, a husband, and a father of twin sons. He loves God and his neighbor, and he doesn't just say it, he lives it. Bruce left a successful career as the senior partner of a multi-office law practice where he argued cases all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. God called Bruce to leave that practice and start Administer Justice, a Christian legal aid ministry in 2000. What began as a volunteer ministry, meeting locally one Saturday a month, has grown to a national movement. It's located now in 107 neighborhoods across the United States. Bruce's work has earned several awards, including World Magazine's National Hope Award for Effective Compassion. A powerful advocate for the poor and vulnerable, Bruce encourages the church, attorneys, and individuals to step out of their comfort zone and to do justice. He is the author of Gospel Justice, Journeying Together to Provide Help and Hope for Those Oppressed by Legal Injustice, published by Moody. So Bruce and I actually met through a mutual friend, Karen Schultz. She's the city director over at Refuge for Women Chicago, and I interviewed her recently. And so she passed on Bruce's name, and I'm so excited to have you here today, Bruce, because this is such a hot topic right now. How are you doing today?
Well, Amy, usually that's just a simple question, but I hope that others join me in being really having a heavy heart. COVID created so many challenges for individuals, health challenges, fear of health, but then we saw rising domestic violence because of people being sheltered in place, of both women and children. We've seen a lot of unemployment struggles because of lost jobs. We've seen a lot of housing instability because of the circumstances. And then you add to that the racial unrest and just the exhaustion that my Black friends are feeling from seeing yet another brother, uncle, son represented in George Floyd being murdered. And it's no wonder that we see the struggles that we do. And so my heart is heavy, even as I have great hope, because I know that God is not dethroned in the midst of this. I know that he cares deeply about justice. And so this is the time for us to administer justice. And I look forward to this conversation. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, thank you so much for your honesty, Bruce. That's so true. I'm glad you really are seeing it. You're on the front lines of a lot of these topics. And I know that it has been a really hard season for a lot of people. And I think it's great that we can come on and have an open dialogue, especially as the church, that we can just be real, kind of, take off our masks. And obviously we're not even at church right now. We're either in our homes or offices, and just kind of be vulnerable and talk about what the issues are. And I think that's so important so that we can, see healing and more hope happen. So thank you for your honesty. I'm really curious to know how Administer Justice got started. I know we read a little bit in your bio, but would you walk us through that journey of what led you to leave, your successful law practice as senior partner and to start this ministry, and tell us what Administer Justice is all about?
Well, Amy, some people tell the story in a way that I really like, because it's this heroic lawyer that gives up this significant income to become poor and serve the poor. That just sounds like a wonderful movie. That's not the truth.
Okay.
The truth is that God was working in my heart through suffering and different challenges to begin to identify with the needs of the poor. But unlike Isaiah, when God laid that out for me, I said, here am I, send somebody else. I really didn't want to go into. And I think a lot of us wrestle with that, right? Do I have what it takes? Is this really what you want? So my story is honestly a Jonah story. And if anybody wants, I do. Some good summer reading, the book Gospel Justice by Moody. It's laid out a little bit more in there, and more of the stories of our vulnerable neighbors, because it's about them. But God just sent a lot of storms of circumstances into my life. I was trying to buy a couple of buildings with our office. I was trying to hire a few new lawyers. I was trying to, we found ourselves in the midst of a few lawsuits, and it just became obvious that I had a wonderful Christian firm, but we were all fighting with each other. It just became obvious that there was a storm of circumstances and I was Jonah. And
Yeah.
God needed to take me away from that so that everybody else, and it was true, everything went calm for them. But I found myself in something very akin to the belly of a giant fish, because it
Yeah.
was a little dinky 8x10 office, not grand law offices that you would imagine and were true. And I was all alone. And I'll say this, Amy, I've been blessed to come alongside our neighbors that need help. And the challenge I have is like with an abused woman who's been told time and time again, or the trafficking victims you talked about with Karen, they've been told time and time again that they don't have value, and they can come to believe it.
Yeah.
The same thing with our friends of color. They've been told somehow that they're lesser than, and it can eat into the psyche. And for me, people were telling me I was crazy for giving up my career, and enough people told me that I really believed it.
Yeah.
And I was so angry at God. I was in this little office and I was angry that God would take away my money, my position, my privilege. And it was too much to ask. And I shook my fist at God and I said, what am I doing here? And Amy, God answered.
Okay.
Said, my will for whatever you do for one of the least of these, do unto me.
Beautiful.
And that radically changed my life. And it's been a joy and a privilege, difficult, painful, but a joyful justice journey ever since then.
That is so good. That is so good. I'm so glad that God is patient with us. And I agree. I understand the struggle in a different way, but I was kind of sharing with you, even this year, as circumstances change, I feel he's calling me more into ministry, to speaking and writing. And I kind of shared with you just even starting this video series, with my major dental problem. Sometimes he allows something that totally grips us and we have to stop and really hear from him. And that happened for me. But yeah, you do sometimes have those questions. How is it going to work out? And, and even mourning for what you had. And I kind of feel the same way. I worked my way up in my industry and I'm, at this great place, and you're wanting me to walk away from that. It's hard, so I think you're very inspirational, Bruce, and thank you for just saying yes to God and going on that journey with him. It's inspiring me.
Well, thank you. But I encourage everyone to listen to that, just as you were saying, because honestly, the alternative is painful. I only do that kicking and screaming, just like a Jonah. So don't kick against God, just like Paul. Don't kick against the goads.
That's good.
Listen and lean into him, and he will meet you where you are and take you to where he wants to go.
That's good. That's good. My word for the year is surrender. So that's good. We got to keep in that place of surrender, right? So tell me, Bruce, what type of services does Administer Justice offer? I know you mentioned a couple of different people groups, but yeah, I'd love to hear more of what you have to offer there.
Sure. So Administer Justice, as you referenced to Amy, we're now in 107 locations, coast to coast, across the country, and we locate in neighborhoods. So the best way to think about, we do legal services through lawyers in neighborhoods. Think of us like kind of a neighborhood health clinic. So it's a place where you can come to because justice is so hard to access. And you can meet in the church. These are located in neighborhood churches, and you can get good guidance. No one should face confusing legal circumstances alone. And the law is unbelievably confusing. You can have a PhD in Google, but so much will come up. There's no way that you can know what is real, what's not real, and what really applies to you and what needs to happen. And so like that neighborhood health clinic, we're the first place you come so that we can diagnose what's really going on and what you need to do. And so we will give a very specific plan of action for next steps for what to do, and then we'll walk alongside you in that process. So our lawyers are intervening and understanding, bringing clarity from confusion, just eliminating fear that overwhelms people. And giving them a plan of action so they can move forward. And then a whole team of people wrap themselves in love around that person. It's not just the lawyer. There are many other team members, and they walk alongside the person. But that's what the lawyers are doing. So they're not the surgeons going to court doing the big thing, but they're absolutely that front line that people so desperately need to cut through the confusion, bring clarity, and give a plan of action.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like the Holy Spirit being your advocate, just coming alongside of you at your point of need, walking with you in that hard space. That's a beautiful picture. It's so awesome what you're doing there. Okay, so we started to talk about the whole topic of justice, and obviously right now we're hearing about it all over the news. So let me ask you, do you think there is a justice crisis in America? Give us your thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anyone denies that. Our great challenge is what to do about it. I'm still not sure that we recognize just how profoundly broken our system is. 1 in 3 Americans simply can't afford an attorney. And I suspect right now in COVID, that number is even larger. And we can't access, therefore, the system. So we rank 98th in the world. That's out of 113 countries, 98th for providing affordable access to justice. And so people that need desperately information, advocacy, and they just can't access it. We know it. We've talked for a long time about our broken criminal justice system, and we're seeing that played out in the news, on the nightly news. But it's equally true in our civil justice system that sees even 2/3 more people regularly that are facing family issues, housing issues, consumer issues, issues that affect their daily lives and can be the difference between being homeless or not, being stable or not. And that's the system we typically intervene in. So there is a big problem, but God has a big solution, and it's always through his people. So people listening right now can be a part of the solution. We don't have to just sit on the sidelines, and that's never how God designed us. He truly wants us to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with him.
I love that. Micah 6:8, right? You share that on your website. I saw that. I agree. I feel like there's a movement happening, and that all of us need to get on board. And I think prayer is a part, but I think action, showing that love in action to bring justice. It's so true. It's so many broken systems, but we can see a difference if we all join together. So for someone who's out there listening right now and they care about this whole topic of justice and they want to get involved, I know many friends even were saying, hey, we see the problems. How can we be a part of the solution? So how can people get involved?
Yeah, I think there are many ways that they can get involved. I do think it begins with education, but can never stop there. So if you haven't read some big major books out there, like The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, this is one of the great ones on race issues in our country, to understand what our Black friends are trying to tell us when they say Black Lives Matter. They do, and we need to understand that. So it does start with educating ourselves. In the civil justice system, Gospel Justice, the book Moody published, is a good one. And just understanding poverty in America. This is a great study by the Brookings Institute called $2 a Day. And these have study guides. So that's one way people can start. I hope that they move beyond that to action, and that they think through the action. So joining in protest movements is helpful. And then for sustained action, though, I think you need to partner with a specialist organization. And in immigration, that might be World Relief. For a lot of these justice issues, that can be Administer Justice. And we would welcome you to volunteer with us in different roles. We match your gifts with needs and different areas. And it's not just for lawyers, though we absolutely are calling on lawyers to get involved. It's for anyone who has a heart for justice, that I believe God implanted that in you. And please explore that. Go to our website, administerjustice.org, see different ways that you can get involved, or email me, bruce@administerjustice.org. I would love to have a conversation, and we will get you started on your justice journey.
That's awesome. Can you just tell us, real quick, what are a couple of those ways you could volunteer? I know you mentioned.
Absolutely. So neighborhood, we like to locate in neighborhoods. Every neighborhood needs somebody called a justice champion. It's just somebody who's administrative, who has a heart and passion. Amy, like yourself, someone, it doesn't have to be a lawyer. It's someone who has those gifts of being able to inspire and pull people together. Then within that team, there's everything from hospitality. We welcome people. So if you thought that baking goods would never be used in a justice movement, yes, it can be.
Awesome.
Because we have these things available. Prayer, as you said, very foundational. Clerical, we need people who are paralegals or secretaries to input data. We have people that are client advocates that walk alongside a client and help connect them with social needs and connect them to the local church. So that's a great role. Interpreting. So there's a lot of wonderful roles that people can play, as well as just a follow-up person who walks alongside someone as kind of a case manager along the way. So a lot of wonderful roles that people could get involved in.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That gives a lot of clarity to, what people could do. If someone's listening right now, they might hear one of those things and say, that's totally me. And they can just envision themselves coming alongside of you. I have so many friends that I know have said, how can I actually do something to help. And I think the things you just mentioned, all these various roles, you know, whether you become someone's advocate, you bake goods, you become, you know, a leader in the neighborhood, whatever it could be, you're a part of it. You're a part of the solution. And, you know, I know in America, we have a lot of generous people and people that want to help make a difference. So thank you for sharing that. Now, say we have someone listening right now, or someone may know of someone that's in need of legal help. Can you tell us how they can get that help through justice?
Absolutely. And please, if you're talking to a friend, and you will be, you don't even realize it. I know that God will set up that appointment, that meeting.
Sure.
And I want you to point them to Administer Justice, administerjustice.org. We're right now doing virtual appointments. We're in the process of resuming to live in our different neighborhoods, but help is available. Justice delayed is justice denied. Don't wait. Tell your friend, don't allow them to get paralyzed in the fear of being overwhelmed. Tell them all they need to do is reach out, make a phone call, or sign up through our website. You can literally schedule an appointment right there, and help is just that simple. We would love to come alongside them and help them.
That's awesome. Okay, can you share with me that website one more time? And I'm going to post it too on this video.
Sure, at administerjustice.org. And people can call our phone number too. That's 847-844-1100.
Thank you so much, Bruce. I think that's so important, and I will also post that with this video. Is there anything else that you want to share with everyone today?
No, I'm just grateful for this opportunity. God is a God of justice. He cares about justice. His throne is justice. And so I think we should be people of justice as we advance his kingdom, all for his glory.
That is so awesome, Bruce. Thank you. This is such a timely message. And it's just an answer even to my own prayers of how can I help during this time. And I think it's so important, you know, what you're doing there. And I just pray God blesses your ministry and provides you all the help you need. If anyone's out here listening and you're looking for good organizations to support, I really highly recommend Administer Justice. If people are in need, I'd encourage you to reach out. And Bruce, thank you so much for your time. Can you tell us again about your book? I would love to see the cover. I'm interested in reading it. You have it there?
I do. So Gospel Justice by Moody. Tony Evans wrote the foreword. Those may be familiar with that.
Awesome.
A lot of other wonderful leaders, Rich Stearns and others who are part of this movement, Ron Sider, others. And so just encourage you to grab it, read through it. It gives greater insight into neighbors right around us who are struggling with these issues.
I want to read it. All right. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today, Bruce. And thank you everyone for joining us here on Support Someone Saturday. Look forward to seeing you again soon. And until then, I hope that we all can bring justice. Thank you.